Hello everyone, my name is Alyssa Yanello. I am one of the librarians of the John J. Wright Library. Today I will be providing a quick overview of APA citations and formatting. If you have any questions after watching this presentation, please feel free to reach out to me at alyssa.yanello@laroche.edu. The first thing that I am going to cover today is a quick overview of the major paper formatting rules within APA. First, we will look at formatting for the title page, starting with the header. The header is formatted for a student paper here. This officially includes only the page number. Your professor may ask you to include more information in this section. The title should be bold, centered, and in title case, which means every major word is capitalized. 3 or 4 lines separate this from the top of the page. Then there is one double-spaced line between this and your name. Your name is written in the order first name, middle initial, and last name. Next comes your department of study and LaRoche University, the class number and name, the professor's name, and your assignment due date, all with one double-spaced line between them. In professional papers, underneath this material, the author notes, keywords, and abstracts would come at the bottom of the page and afterward. Your instructor may ask you for these, but it is not required for APA student papers. Next, we will look at body text formatting. Papers start with a paper title that is bold and centered. There is no introduction header in APA papers. The body text should be double-spaced. There is no required font for APA, but it does recommend a legible font be chosen, such as 12-point Times New Roman, as in this example. As it also says here, this is an example of a block quote, which is required for any quotes longer than 40 words. There are no quotation marks used when completing a block quote. The parenthetical citations follow the concluding punctuation mark. Below this are examples of Level 1 and Level 2 headings. For a major section of your paper, such as methodology or discussion, use a Level 1 heading, which is bold, centered, and in title case. For a subsection within a major section, such as different kinds of methodologies, use a Level 2 heading, which is bolded, left aligned, and in title case. Next, we will look at reference page formatting. For your reference page, center and bold the word references, or reference if there is only one source, like this example. References themselves follow alphabetical order and are double-spaced. They also require a hanging indent, which you can have done automatically for you in most word processors. Now I will provide an overview of the most common APA citations you may make. One helpful tip that I would like to share is that you should not wait until the end to write all of your citations, but rather do each one as you find your source. That way, you will have it on hand as you write your paper, and you will not have a pile of citations to do before you can turn in your work. This will save you a headache later on down the road. First, we will cover how to format author names in your reference list. APA follows what is called author date style. This means when you list the author's name, you must always follow it with the year of publication. If you see a citation that you have made that does not have these elements together, you know that your citation is not quite done. When listing author names, you always write out the last name given and write only the initials for the first and middle names, with a comma to separate these elements. When there are 2 authors listed, you list both last names and initials. The names are separated by a comma and an ampersand. If there are 3 to 20 authors listed, you must write up to the 20th author's name, again separating the names with a comma. The last author's name is preceded by an ampersand. If there are more than 20 authors' names listed, you must list the first 19 authors, again separating these names with a comma. Instead of the ampersand, the last author's name is preceded by an ellipses. This is to show the reader of your reference page that there are more than the 20 authors listed who contributed to the article you have referenced, but you have not listed them all here. If you have a reference which includes a group or corporate author, including government agencies and other organizations, you treat the publishing organization the same way you would treat an individual author's name. If a work has multiple layers of group authorship, such as a smaller office within a larger governmental office, as in my example here, you will list the specific agency as the author and the parent agency as the publisher. Finally, you may come across material that does not have a listed author, especially if you are citing reference materials. In this case, you will start with the title of the work at the beginning of the reference, which is then followed by the date, and the citation continues as normal. Next, we will go over how to write citations for specific types of references. The first one we will cover is an online scholarly journal article. All APA citations start with the authors, if authors are present. As mentioned earlier, the year appears next, in parentheses, and is followed by a period. The title of the article is next, in plain text, and only the first word or any proper noun is capitalized. The title of the journal appears in italics, and follows title case, which, as we said, means every major word is capitalized, and this is followed by a comma. The volume number appears in italics, and the issue number appears in plain text within parentheses. It is important to note that there is no space between the volume and issue numbering. This is also followed by a comma. The page range appears next, with the numbers written in plain text and separated by a dash, and this is followed by a period. The last bit of information that you need to include is a DOI number. It is written as you find it and is not ended by a comma, period, or any other punctuation. DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier and is basically an ISBN for an online article. This is information that will help anyone reading your reference page to find the article you are referencing very quickly. Sometimes you find an article that does not have a DOI. If you found the article on a website, include the URL instead. If you found the article on a database but there is no DOI, then you do not include any URL or database information. The only exception to this is if the article is only available on that specific database or it is in limited circulation. Most articles found through the John J. Wright Library will have a DOI, and it is found on the bibliography page. Here's an example of what a citation for an online scholarly journal article might look like. The next type of citation we will cover are book citations. Book citations have much in common with journal article citations, with some key differences. We can see here that the author and date are formatted the same way as journal article citations. After this, we have the title of the book in italics. Only the first word and the first word of any subtitles are capitalized, and this is followed by a period. Next comes the publisher information, which can be found on the title page of the book or on the cover. This is in plain text and is followed by a period. Finally, if it is an ebook or found in a database, we again include the DOI, if it is available. And here is an example of a book citation. Sometimes you would like to cite only a specific article or chapter from a book. There are just a few more pieces of information you need to include in your citation if this is the case. Again, the author, name, and the date are formatted the same way as before. Next comes the title of the chapter or article, written in plain text with only the first word capitalized, followed by a period. Next, you must include the information on the book and its editors. Start this section with the word in, and then list the names of any editors involved with the book. You start with their first and middle initials, and then the last name follows. This is followed by the indication eds in parentheses to make it clear to the reader that these are the editors of the work, and this is followed by a comma. The next piece of information is the title of the overall book, in italics with the first word capitalized. Next, the page range appears in parentheses. Unlike when citing a journal article, you must include the abbreviation lowercase pp before the page numbers when citing an article in a book. This is ended with a period. The publisher and DOI appear as previously shown. Here's an example of a book article citation. You can see that this type of citation is a bit longer than a book citation, with added information of the editors and the chapter title. You may also need to cite information found on reputable websites. As always, we start with the author name. If there is an individual author named, you include the last name, a comma, and then the first and middle name initials. If the resource was written by a group or organization, the organization is listed as the author. If there is no author name listed, you list the title of the page as the author instead. Next, the date of publication is included. Unlike other citations we have covered, you include the month and day of the publication as well as the year. That is because, many times with web pages, not only is this information available, it is also very useful to know the specific date the information was first published. The year appears, followed by a comma, and then the month and the day. All of this is within parentheses and is ended by a period. If there is no date listed, include the abbreviation lowercase n period d period in parentheses instead. I will say use caution when encountering websites with no author or date, as they may not be a credible or academic resource. Next appears the title of the web page, in italics with the first word capitalized. This is ended with a period. The next piece of information included is the website name, written in plain text with the first word capitalized. Sometimes, when the author name is an organization, the website name and the author name will be the same. In this case, you will omit the website name. In my example, you can see that this is the case. Because the National Park Service is both the website name and the author, I only include it in the author name section of my citation. These citations are always ended with the URL of the web page, with no ending punctuation and written exactly as you have found it. Finally, we will quickly go over in-text citations in APA. In-text citations are very important as they will show your reader what your own thoughts are and what the ideas you are referencing from others are. If there is one author, you include the last name and the year of publication in parentheses. If you cite within your text, only the year appears in parentheses. If you are parenthetically citing, include the last name and follow it with a comma, then the year, all within parentheses, at the end of your sentence. If there are two authors, include both authors' last names and the year of publication as well. If you're citing within your text, you use the word "and" to separate the names, again with the year appearing in parentheses next to them. If parenthetically citing, include both names, this time separated by the ampersand symbol, with a comma and the year of publication in parentheses at the end of the sentence. Here I have also included an example of how to cite a specific page. If you use a direct quote, you need to include this information as well. You include the abbreviation lowercase p period and the page number within the parentheses, always at the end of your sentence. If your resource has 3 or more authors, you only include the first author's last name, followed by the abbreviation et al. This signifies to the reader that there are more authors who contributed to this resource, and they should go to your reference page to see more information. There is only a period after the al portion of this abbreviation. This is followed by a comma and then the year. If no author is listed, as you do with the reference page, you will use the title of the work instead. If it is a shorter work, such as an article, you will use quotations around this title. If it is a longer work, such as a book, you would italicize this instead. And that is the end of my presentation on APA citations. Thank you very much for your time. I know that this is a lot of information, but please feel free to come back and watch this as much as necessary. No one memorizes APA. The important thing to know is where to go to find the information. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to email me at alyssa.yanello@laroche.edu. I have also included the web address for the Purdue Online Writing Lab APA Guide. If you have questions on APA style, such as citations for resources I did not cover today, this is a great place to start. They have many examples of citations and include sample papers as well. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.